Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code JJ50 to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. mybookie.ag, promo code JJ50, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. mybookie.ag.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, doe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together, we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN2 and ESPN Radio. What do?
We give the people what they want.
Last night, before the Cowboys defeated the Cardinals on Monday Night Football, the Cowboys as a team, including owner Jerry Jones, took a knee before the playing of the national anthem. During the national anthem, they interlocked arms and stood. Jerry Jones explained after the game.
We want to stand and respect the flag. Let's make no mistake about that. Nothing we've done, nothing we did tonight says anything other than that. But we also, as a complete team, and those players and organization, want to be able to, when we can, demonstrate that unity is important and equality is important. And so the thing that I'm so proud of these guys for, they did both.
Seems like Jerry had his cake and ate it too. What do you think about the Cowboys' approach to their protest last night?
This is America's team taking the pulse of both sides. Those who oppose any way, shape, or form, individuals not standing or raising a fist during the national anthem versus the players in uniform who were recently called SOBs by 45 and taking the temperature of that room as a billion-dollar conglomerate and saying, how can I please everyone without necessarily upsetting everyone? And so this is what they did, which is why, by the way, I would never be the person in any way, shape, or form to criticize somebody that's talking about unity. That's what he talked about in the press conference. That's what the gesture represented. So I applaud all individuals. I'm not going to judge in any way, shape, or form how it was done. But I did look a little closer. I think that was Rob Marinelli, who was bent over.
He might have knee problems. That might be knee problems.
No question. It made me think, man, getting old sometimes ain't fun. You know? Because I'm pretty sure he would have loved to be down on one knee with the rest of the teammates and the staff. But in all honesty, it was a gesture that was booed by the road crowd and the Cowboys fans who were in attendance. And so it's going to be interesting to see if that creates a pattern of behavior moving forward if such protests continue to take place.
Do you think this kneeling before and standing during is part of the progression of how this is going to play out with other teams? Do you think the Cowboys sort of like set the new template for how this will be handled by other teams moving forward?
No. I got a secret for everybody. Let me pull back the curtain. Let me tell you something about being an oppressed people. You don't get to dictate how we protest. So don't think all of a sudden that's about to become the new norm that's fashionable, and before you know it, poof, and it's gone. But we're still not talking about the actual issue to why Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee. He was talking about social injustices, inequities that take place amongst people who are black and brown. That's what it was all about. And so while we're discussing the flag and we're coming with a lot of buzzwords, we can't get away from the actual issue because it still permeates throughout our society, especially when in Cobb County, there's a cop pulling somebody over and says, oh, by the way, you don't have anything to worry about. You're not black. We're not going to shoot you. As long as that's still happening, then I think the protests continue.
Well, something else continued, which is even stranger than the protest. It is the President of the United States, weighing in on these issues on Twitter. He tweeted this morning, "The booing at the NFL game last night when the entire Dallas team dropped to its knees was the loudest I have ever heard. Great anger." He also tweeted, "The NFL has all sorts of rules and regulations. The only way out for them is to set a rule that you can't kneel during our national anthem." Now, some might argue that the president should be concerned with other policies and rules around the world outside of, I don't know, the National Football League. But here he is again weighing in. What do you think about his highlighting the booing and anger from the Dallas fans and suggesting that the rules be changed so athletes must stand for the anthem?
Here's the thing. I have a word for what has taken place since the Trump candidacy. And it's not a big word. It's not a fancy word. This is dangerous, what's taking place. The race baiting, the instigating. I remember during his campaign, he egged on his supporters for those who were at his protest, who were carrying signs against the rhetoric that he was spewing, and he literally told the audience, "Kick the crap out of them, I'll pay your legal fees." So what he's doing in a different way right now is basically employing fans when they see people protest in any way, shape, or form the flag. Unlike last year, unlike up until last night, there weren't any fans booing. What he's trying to encourage them to do is actually to do that. And you're being more divisive. And here's the scary part. It's one thing that he's saying this. It's another thing when he's in Huntsville, Alabama, those people weren't booing. They was cheering what he had to say. Look down when our commander in tweets sends these type of things. There are individuals walking this face of the earth that are liking them, that are retweeting them. You know what that means? It's an endorsement. And it's really unfortunate that the leader of the free world continues with this behavior.
Especially when there is so much going on in this world, especially with the natural disasters and the North Korea impending conflict and, the healthcare reforms. There's so much else going on in the world that our president decides to wake up in the morning, review some footage of a football game, and focus on that is just baffling to me. Something that is not baffling to those that listen to Jalen and Jacoby, but is news to everyone else. It's time for Broken News.
To everyone else, it's breaking news. To Jalen and Jacoby listeners, it's broken news.
Well, you'll never believe this news that hit the respective wires of sports media outlets around the world. Started with this tweet from the Woj. Woj tweeted, "Dwayne Wade plans to sign with Cleveland once he clears waivers on Wednesday. League sources tell ESPN." Jalen Rose, for anyone that listens to this program, knows that we have considered him a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers for months now, and now he finally is. But I want to move this conversation forward. All of this makes me feel more like LeBron James will stay in Cleveland than leave. Remember the beginning of the summer when Kyrie was wanting a trade and things seemed chaotic and rumors of him going to the Lakers during the finals? Don't you feel like having Dwayne Wade there, having Kyrie gone, bringing IT in, having Jay Crowder there, having Rose there, becoming deeper, is more reason for him to stay in the East rather than go to the West?
LeBron James is still the best player in the game. He was dominant in the NBA Finals, even though his team lost. Kevin Durant was giving him buckets, though, and deserved to be Finals MVP. So when he hasn't won the championship the last couple of seasons, the person that was actually responsible for playing against him on the other side, Kawhi Leonard, Andre Iguodala, and KD, actually won the title and the MVP, which is a level of LeBron's importance to not only his team but to the league. So you also get a Jay Crowder in that trade to help LeBron defend some of those players and take a lot of the pressure off of himself. And when you play in the Eastern Conference and has had the level of dominance that he's able to achieve as an iconic player, when he walks into the locker room, you start to become a super team. Now all of a sudden, wait a minute, Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade, just this offseason? Isaiah Thomas, an all-star last year? Also, they still have Kevin Love
Still
up
got
front,
Kevin Love
who
there.
never gets discussed in this entire
Still
conversation.
got Kevin Love there.
For those who have not been paying attention, in Cleveland, guess what they have? A super team.
They certainly do have a super team, and they're not in a super conference, which is why I believe all of this will lead to LeBron James signing another 1-1 with the Cleveland Cavaliers this offseason.
And also, there's a level of comfort and cohesion that goes with playing with the guys, for the most part, that you've been to the NBA Finals with for 3 straight years. And so to try to recapture that in another city, move your family with the same expectations, and you really don't want them problems in the West. It's better to stay in the East.
A lot of interesting things came out of Media Day. None more exciting than this from Giannis Antetokounmpo.
You guys see the new movie Constipation? No? Constipation. It's because he hasn't come out yet.
Jalen Rose, that was Giannis Antetokounmpo explaining that the new movie Constipation has not come out yet. Telling really dumb jokes. Soft move or boss move? I'm going boss move all day.
Move.
Boss move all day. I laughed out loud when I heard that. I'm that dude. I will laugh at dumb jokes. I will laugh when I see someone fall over. I will laugh. I'm a very simple-minded person when it comes to my sense of humor, and I thought that was hilarious.
But if you're talking about laughing at bad jokes and people are falling over, there are other individuals like myself that just don't think that that's funny.
I think it's hilarious. Next, we have Mike Conley. Mike Conley was telling tales about his offseason and what happened and this and that. And he told us that Kanye West called him up at 12:30 at night just to tell him that he admired him and he was a fan. And the next time he's in LA, he should look Kanye up. Calling up a stranger in the middle of the night to tell you admire them. Soft move or boss move from Kanye West?
When they're celebrities, boss move.
Good point. So I knew you were going to say that. So then I had the follow-up question. If I were to call Mike Conley in the middle of the night and say, Mike Conley, I love the way that you control the floor. I think you're underrated. You don't get appreciated as one of the best point guards in the league. That is definitely a soft move. So what level of celebrity do you have to be at where you can just call up strangers and tell you like them?
When you're a fan of the other person and or vice versa. Period.
You don't think Mike Conley's a fan of David Jacoby?
No.
No, I don't think so either. I think he's definitely not a fan of Jalen.
No, but Conley's a cool dude. He'll come on the show. It's all love.
We will see. Well, I'm a huge fan of new New York Knickerbocker Michael Beasley because of what he can do on the court, but really because of things like this that he does off the court. This time he was talking with Taylor Rooks of SNY.TV's Timeout.
We are only capable of using 10% of our brain, right?
Yes.
So who was the guy that used 11 that made it okay to say everybody's just using 10?
That isn't the right logic.
No.
The person who uses 10% of your brain is the one that said 10%.
No, because if you're only using 10% of your brain, you don't even know that you're using 10% of your brain.
So here's the thing about this is I've watched this approximately 837 times just today, and it starts to make sense the more that you listen to it. Soft move or boss move, having a higher understanding of how the human brain works than everybody else. Michael Beasley.
It's a boss move that Beasley has come to New York City and just let everybody know, don't worry about a failed test. I'm already in the program.
He's like, I'm already there. This is all a failed test. The test is broken if I pass it. You can use me as the litmus test. I'll be the control of the test to make sure the test is accurate. He's got a wristwatch on his wrist and his ankle. He's dropping knowledge about the human brain. I'm so excited about Michael Beasley.
He also said the Knicks was going to have 4 people average 25 points in the same season.
Jalen Rose. Not only was Michael Beasley sort of explaining to us and to Taylor Rooks exactly how the human brain works and what percentage of it we all use and how other people use 11 and some people use 10. I loved it. It was brilliant. But we had this from Nick Young. The Bleacher Report asked him, game on the line, you're open from your favorite spot, but KD and Steph are also both open, pass or shoot. Nick Young responded, you shoot that mother bleeper. Then you hit both of them with, my bad, y'all, didn't see you open. I thought the clock ran out. Do you love this from Nick Young as much as I do?
It's fun in games until somebody get hurt.
Explain.
And there was always this guy in class, because sometimes it was me growing up.
Wait, hold
you
up.
always had to use two words.
Did you mention that because someone had to be hurt for Nick Young to be on the floor in that situation?
You like that. I like that. That's very nice.
Continue.
There was always the person, whether in school or in the neighborhood, that you always had to say two words to. Stop playing.
Stop playing. I knew those were going to be the two words.
Right.
Stop playing.
And so, while he's also a professional, and you hope that he would be able to step up, make a play if and when given the opportunity, the clear answer, we know what it is. You give up a good shot to get a great shot. And him being open, that's a good shot. Steph and KD being open, those are great shots.
Another thing is it's also, first of all, why are you on the floor, Nick Young, in the first place? What happened to Clay? First of all, we should be checking on Clay right now. Okay. Second of all, where are the defenders if both the ball carrier and the two former MVPs are all open? Like, who are they? Were they tripling down on Zaza? They're surrounding Draymond Green. Like, how's this working?
Out there? Oh, that's an easy one. A 2004 Raptors out there. Whenever that was.
You have no idea. Don't you just wish that he scored 79? I feel like if he scored 79, this wouldn't even follow you around like this.
It wouldn't follow me around if I still weren't a public figure.
That's fair. Shout out to you for being relevant.
Shout out.
Well, first of all, we have to celebrate the great Ric Flair. He's had some health issues recently, but now he's back doing media, talking just as crazy as he's always talked. And he had an interesting thing that he said. He said that he has, in his day, up to this point in his life, bedded 10,000 women.
What?
Jalen?
What?
How do you think he could make this claim?
How old is he?
I don't like follow-up questions, but I'm assuming he's let's say over 55. I'll look it up right now. We'll look it up.
So, times have changed for the youngsters out there.
Yes.
There was a time where, the diseases were different, the contraception was different.
He's currently 68 years old. Looks great for 68.
I wouldn't deny any gentleman trying to put a high score on what he felt like he's accomplished in the bed.
I lose track of anything over about 60, so I don't know how he got to 10,000.
But there are certain numbers that just aren't attractive. And so that's one of those things that it sounds really nice when you're in the locker room amongst guys or having cold ones at the bar.
Yeah, but when you're at the bar meeting this new stranger, maybe she's 27 years old and she's not that familiar with your work and she Googles you while she goes to the bathroom and she sees this, she's not going home with you. And you know what, Jalen? You know why I think you're going negative on this? Because Ric Flair is the same person that claimed to have bedded Halle Berry. Jalen Rose, we're about to go through every single NFL game from week 3. Are you ready?
Let's get it.
First of all, we're not going to talk about the Rams game as they dominated on Thursday night, but it feels like a million years ago. We're going to start.
They didn't dominate. That was a high-scoring game. Both teams combined for 80 points. They were playing against the 49ers. An exciting game.
Dominate is probably not the right word. That's fair, but I really enjoyed it. Cowboys beat the Cardinals last night. DeMarcus Lawrence. I love it when one single defensive player takes over a game. DeMarcus Lawrence did exactly that. Only had 3 sacks, was in the backfield all night long. Jalen Rose, your thoughts on the Cowboys' performance over the Cardinals?
His defensive performance, I think he has 6 sacks in the first couple of games. Been doing a terrific job of getting off the ball. And Dak Prescott's productivity, in particular, taking care of the football, running for a touchdown. Dez Bryant also scored a touchdown where he basically
just carried everybody into the end zone.
Carried them into the end zone from like the 5. Yep. And so it's a quality win for the Dallas Cowboys. And also, big shout to Larry Fitzgerald.
Yep.
Shout out.
Not only did he catch 13 balls for 149 yards,
It's just snatching them away from people.
every time he caught one, he gave me high points in the fantasy league.
No
Good
one cares
looking
about
out,
your
Larry.
fantasy
I
league.
had him in the flex.
No one cares about your fantasy league. Next, we have the Patriots' last-second win over the Texans. Pass from Brady to Brandon Cooks with 2 feet down in the end zone. Just seems like Brady, with 2 minutes left on the clock, is going to get whatever he needs.
I just got a little jingle for this one. Here's a story of a man named Brady. That's just the bottom line.
Story of a man named Brady. Since we have so many games to get to, we'll move on. The Chiefs beating the Chargers by 2 touchdowns. Chiefs undefeated so far.
Has there been a more explosive and productive player in the NFL than Hunt?
No.
The rookie running back?
No.
For KC? No. Oh, man. He's been dynamite so far this year.
Hunt started the year by scoring 1,000 touchdowns on the Patriots, and I thought it was a fluke, and he has not slowed. Kareem Hunt, shout to you. Then we have this. Aaron Rodgers' only overtime win of his entire career comes against the Bengals. Is this a bad win? I know you like good losses. I mean, bad losses and good wins. Is this a bad win for the Packers?
No, it was much needed because they were on the verge of losing that football game.
Yep.
And they needed those heroics that you talked about. It's a devastating loss for the Bengals. When it truly comes down to, because these are the type of games that propel your season.
Yep.
Either way.
It could have been a rough start that turned around on week 3, and now it just looks like a rough season ahead for the Bengals. It also, and I cannot believe I am saying this, it looks like a rough season ahead for the Seattle Seahawks. One of the teams going into the season that we all assumed was going to be at least in the top 3 or 4 in the NFC, now losing to the Tennessee Titans, led by Marcus Mariota, 33-27. Seahawks seem broken. Am I overreacting?
How about this? We've talked so much about Seattle's offensive line. When you get a chance, look at Russell Wilson's numbers.
Mm-hmm.
He balled. Their defense was getting gashed by the run, which made it so surprising. Every time you looked up, it was somebody running a long touchdown.
Yep.
And so usually a team that's led by that side of the football, to lose in that fashion, I agree with you. There was a lot of soul searching after that game, probably even a team meeting or two.
A lot of soul searching all Sunday long. We'll start with another losing team that had to do some soul searching. The Giants, after a furious comeback in which it really felt like they had all the momentum on their side, so there was just a few seconds left. They gave up sort of a fluky reception down the right sideline that led to a 61-yard field goal attempt. The question was, should they even attempt this field goal? Rookie kicker comes out, nails the 61-yard field goal attempt, crushing Molly Karam's feelings.
Absolutely, man, it killed my day. How about this? A lot of people saw, because it was so flagrant, Odell crawl on his knees and use the bathroom on the hydrant. But people didn't pay attention to Sterling Shepard on his long touchdown did the portrayal of doing a number 2.
Oh, I missed that as well.
So they had their celebratory situations all in tow, except the Philadelphia Eagles were about winning the football game.
You know what? Early in the show, I said how much I love dumb humor. Bathroom humor never really plays. Like, you know, it's not that funny.
No, I agree.
I said that, and we did like 15 minutes last week on the Mad Pooper. But anyway, moving on.
But she wasn't in the bathroom.
The Falcons beat the Lions. I don't know if you watched that one. You might not have noticed.
Yeah.
It came down to, we'll move on. The Bears beat the Steelers in overtime. What a weekend. Like, it seems like every game it involves these teams that at the beginning of the season we assumed were going to be at the top of their class, losing to teams that we assumed would be at the bottom of their class.
You know, every show I always talk about, man, it'd be nice to get a list of players that was in the league this year that's not last year.
You can do that on email, off the air. You know what I mean? You can just send that a nice, well-worded email to our producers and give some examples, and I think that would be more effective.
This is a bad loss. Because while we're still talking about the fiasco, which became of what to do during the protest, of inequality in our country that now has been equated to how you handled yourself during the national anthem. The Pittsburgh Steelers, overall, their message got diluted because they ended up not being on the same page and ultimately coming out a couple of players, Villanueva, Big Ben, issuing apologies to how it was done and acknowledging that this week they'll do it a lot different.
They botched that one. Yep. The Raiders also botched their performance against the Redskins. They lost by 17 points to the Redskins. The Raiders, whose offensive line has been so highly touted, did not look that strong. Jalen, your reaction to the Raiders' loss to the Washington football team?
Well, a couple of things, and this is what's great about football. I have 5 teams that people who love the game, fans, media members, ready to leap on these bandwagons, and they all lost this week.
Yep.
The Raiders, Pittsburgh, Seattle,
Detroit,
and Tampa Bay.
Detroit.
Man, we won one playoff game in 60 years. Ain't nobody jumping on our bandwagon after 2 games.
Matt Stafford's going to be the MVP this year, please.
That was you in Vegas.
Jaguars dominated the Ravens 44-7 in London, so no one noticed. But that was a pretty impressive Bortles performance out there.
It was. But here's the thing. I got a question for you, NFL. Hey, when you make us look for the game, guess what? We're not going to watch it.
Yeah, don't make it hard. Don't stream it. Don't make me shoot my phone to my TV screen. I'm not doing that. It's early in the morning. I got 3 kids. I don't need tech problems. Moving on, we don't have much time left. The Saints beat the Panthers. 2 teams that are headed in different...
I was going to put the Panthers in that category, but, man, Cam doesn't look like himself.
Cam does not look like himself. No. Who knows who Cam's true self is? I think he needs some time to get back from that shoulder injury. Yep. The Vikings, again, I love these Vikings. Case Keenum leads the Vikings. It seems like they could put anybody in at quarterback and still win games based on their skill players and their line and their defense.
Don't sleep on that Stephon Diggs now.
Nope. The Bills beat the Broncos in another game where you're just like, what is happening with the NFL? What happened to the NFL this weekend? And not only that, not only did the Bills beat the Broncos, the Jets got a win this weekend, beating the hapless Dolphins. It looks like the love affair between Jay Cutler and the Miami faithful might be ending soon.
They still going to give him that $10 million.
Jacoby Brissett led the Colts past the Browns. How long do you think it will take before Jacoby Brissett becomes not just the face of the franchise, but the face of the NFL?
I don't think that's ever going to take place.
No. That's ridiculous.
It's getting out of control. The level of GM I am in fantasy football.
You spent the entire break talking about your fantasy football team while I was ignoring you. Not only do I ignore you during the segments now, I ignore you when we're not even on the air anymore. I can go on and on about my fantasy team,
too. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. People care about fantasy.
Well, they don't care about your fantasy. I am curious what Draymond Green's fantasy team name is, though.
Draymond Green's fantasy teams name the money team.
Come on, Draymond.
Get off the bandwagon.
Time for Keep It Moving. Jalen Rose, if it is worth discussing, we will hit the brakes and discuss the topic. If it is not, me, you, and Method Man will simply...
We be moving, you know, we keep it moving.
Magic Johnson said he's only concerned with how Lonzo Ball plays. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
He said he's not worried about Ball's off-court life or his mixtapes or his father. He said, quote, only time I'm going to concern myself with what Lonzo does off the court is if it is affecting his play on the court. Take us behind the curtain. What is Irvin Magic Johnson really saying?
They took Lonzo Ball, number 2 overall in the NBA draft out of UCLA. Magic sat next to him at the press conference. He pointed at the rafters, and he told him, you see those jerseys up there? I expect yours to be hanging up there one day. And so he's not worried about any sideshows. He's not worried about Big Baller Brand whether it's going to be a distraction or not, because the games still have to be played. And you know what's going to take place when he goes on the floor? LeVar's going to be in the stands, not in uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So based on that, Magic Johnson is not mad at a guy that's marketing himself, that's promoting himself, that's creating coin for him, for his family. I'm pretty sure he not only applauds that, but I'm pretty sure he's going to help influence that in a positive way.
And something tells me that if, I don't know, Mr. Ball said some things that became headlines, that became distractions, then when Irving Magic Johnson comes and talks to him, he might have a different tenor than when he's on, I don't know, an ESPN television show. He might change his tone a little bit when Irving Magic Johnson has a very serious conversation with him about how his son's play and his son's career and the Laker franchise. He might be a little less bombastic, a little less chest thumping when he's talking with Magic Johnson than when he's talking to someone like myself in the media. Just throwing that out there. Next, Anthony Davis put a timetable on the Pelicans' success. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Anthony Davis said, quote, "We've got 1 year basically to figure it out." He said, DeMarcus came to me this summer and said he has to win. He's never been to the playoffs. He just wants to go to the playoffs. He's buying in. He's doing things he usually doesn't do in the summertime. He's all in with us, and we're just trying to win for him. Honestly, if we win for him, I think it can lead to some great things. You know what this sounds like to me? He got the timetable wrong. Mr. Davis, it's not that you have this year to figure it out. You have until the trade deadline to figure it out. I don't know if he knows this, but something tells me that if things aren't going well, it's not going to be after Game 82 when they have the conversation about the future of the Pelicans. It's going to be right around around Game 50 when the All-Star break happens. That is probably the timetable for the Pelicans, not this season.
Boogie will be an interesting prospect this year. An all-star level player with enormous talent that doesn't have a long-term deal with the team he's trotting out wearing their uniform each night.
Mm-hmm.
And you just touched on the dynamic of not only winning to appease him and hope he stays for a really long time, but there's also an element, can two bigs of their stature being 6'10", and above both play together in the same lineup defensively on the perimeter consistently. And so if they're able to do such, Anthony Davis, a terrific defender, all over the floor, at the hoop. But having those bigs out there, it's a lot further to rotate.
Yep.
And so it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out also.
Well, we'll be watching because those Nuggets games are going to be interesting. This is interesting as well. We all celebrated the Denver Nuggets and their new front court, and they brought in Paul Millsap, an all-star level player. They're developing Jokic, who's one of the most exciting young players in the league. The way he can pass, his skills, his size, his finishing around the basket. Well, seems like everybody forgot about Kenneth Faried except for Kenneth Faried. He said, quote, or actually, keep moving and hit the brakes. Kenneth Faried is kind of upset with the Nuggets.
Hit the brakes.
Of course. He said, quote, "I'll just put it out there for everybody. I'm not a bench player. I've been saying that for the longest. I'm a starter." When asked about his status with the Nuggets, he said, quote, "I love to hear the crowd when I'm introduced as starting forward, number 35, Kenneth Faried. Yes, that's me, 100%. That's been me my whole life. I'm going to fight for a starting position. I'm not going to lay down and let somebody take it."
I like his attitude, and he will tell you those jobs aren't won in the media. And initially, he got a big-time contract. It was well-deserved. A nickname, the Manimal. It seemed like there were nights where there were two versions of himself out there. He was hustling, getting boards, blocking shots, catching lobs. I haven't seen that player the last couple of years because they would have traded him if they could. So bringing him back with the squad, with the additions that they have, in particular Millsap, who they play the same position, it could add depth if he's a productive player and he carries the attitude you just described. And so this is why the Nuggets are a team that people are likely sleeping on because they were knocking on the playoffs door last year.
Mm-hmm. Dwayne Wade is officially signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But here's the thing.
To everyone else, it's breaking news. To Jalen and Jacoby listeners, it's broken news.
I don't even feel like updating that as real news. He's been on the Cavs on this program for months now.
Right.
So just because Woj said it's ink to paper, it's like we've already been there. We've already done that. So let's keep it moving on that news.
We be moving, you know, we keep it moving.
Mavericks owner Mark Cuban loaned the team plane to J.J. Barea. Keep moving or hit the brakes. No, I'm going to hit the brakes. I'm going to hit the brakes on that. He actually gave the team plane to J.J. Barea. I set you up there. So he could assist with Puerto Rican relief efforts. J.J. Barea is a Puerto Rican, so he used the aircraft to transport food, water, and supplies to his native island based on the Hurricane Maria recovery. Big
Prayers and well wishes to everybody affected by these natural disasters, as you acknowledged.
Shout out.
Joakim Noah says this whole season is about redemption. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. He got a big contract last year. He got injured. We'll see what he's able to bring to the table playing alongside of Cantor as well as KP.
Aaron Judge hit 2 home runs on Monday to give him 50 on the season. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
He passed Mark McGwire for the most by a rookie in Major League Baseball history. He's also joined by Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, and Alex Rodriguez as the only players in Yankee history to hit 50 home runs in a season. He started off so hot, then after the All-Star break, it seemed like people had figured him out. He broke records for striking out so much. And now he's back as a potential MVP candidate. What do you feel about Mr. Judge and his future in pinstripes?
Amazing. Anytime a rookie can come in and hit 50-plus home runs in a season, that's outstanding. Yeah. There will be critics as he moves forward, and rightfully so. You want to get your game up, continue to improve, talk about his live ball numbers and his average when he's not knocking the baseball out of the park. It just so happened that usually that's actually what he's doing.
Jalen Rose, the NCAA has problems, big problems, FBI probe problems. Since 2015, the Federal Bureau of Investigations has looked into corruption between college coaches, sneaker representatives, financial managers, and they have unearthed some criminal charges. Here is U.S. Attorney June Kim addressing the charges.
The picture painted by the charges brought today is not a pretty one. Coaches at some of the nation's top programs soliciting and accepting cash bribes. Managers and financial advisors circling blue-chip prospects like coyotes. And employees of one of the world's largest sportswear companies secretly funneling cash to the families of high school recruits.
Jalen Rose, cash going to families of high school recruits that'll steer them towards certain colleges. Cash going to college coaches that will steer players towards certain agents and financial managers. You've been around this game. You've been a student athlete. You've been a professional basketball player. You know everything about this. When you hear these charges are levied down, what is your reaction?
Oh, it feels like a ticket for jaywalking. That's what it feels like. Have you ever gotten one of those?
No, I have not.
Okay. When you jaywalk, do you think about it?
No, I do not.
Okay. That's how I feel about these charges.
Explain.
Here's the thing. The NCAA's sole purpose continues to be one that makes sure that, that the families and the players don't get paid. Yeah. That's their goal, right? Okay. But the NCAA is a 501c3, a nonprofit, multi-billion-dollar conglomerate on the backs of the student athletes, especially the revenue-generating sports, in particular, basketball and football. Let me tell everybody something.
Please do, Mr. Rose.
When you're a high-level recruit, when you're talented at anything, you're going to get special privileges. You want to get recruited by a major college? Guess what? All you got to do is get a great grade point average and do really well on your ACT and your SAT. And you know what people are going to do? They're going to recruit you like you're an All-American athlete. That's how this works, regardless of your field, regardless of your trade. And so now, sneaker companies, they understand that. This has been going on for years. When you look across the country tomorrow, pay attention to the relationships that are in tow. If a certain shoe company is representing a certain high school, let me see who they got on their team. Oh, okay. That's just how the game goes. And let me take it a step further. These summer camps, they're sponsored by shoe companies. Yep. So these relationships happen over an 8-year period for the most part, where you're getting to know the shoe companies, you're getting to know the players, you're getting to know the coaches, and or vice versa. At that point, when you become a recruit, especially if you're a high-level recruit, that's just how it works. Agents, runners, everybody's trying to get into your inner circle and try to steer you one way, shape, or form towards their goal and your goal. Because ultimately, I heard the term coyotes. Let me tell you something. If you don't give me $100,000, I'll be a coyote. And by the way, I'll sign a letter of intent right now. This has been going on for ages. For youngsters, Google any cases of fiscal dynamic where money's changing hands for a recruit, for a family member. There have been 30 for 30s on this topic.
Yeah, so these are essentially $100,000 kickbacks on multi-million-dollar deals, something which happens in all levels of business. But here's my question for you, as someone who understands this better than most. Is this, hey, guess what? They're cracking down. They're going to do something about this. They're going to fix this, and they're going to eliminate the corruption. Or is this, a couple people got caught, but just like jaywalking, this is a practice that will continue until the end of time and started at the beginning of athleticism, and this is never going to change. What are your thoughts?
Everybody get a percentage from the athlete the entire time. Yep. The coaches are put in a position of leadership to nurture a player, to allow them to be the best they can be. And a lot of times that becomes a parental figure in your life. So of course you're gonna lean on that person for advice. The same with your college coach. Your college coach is able to get money from the school, the shoe company, the TV deal, the radio deals, the endorsements, the appearances. And so at some point, again, when you're a collegiate athlete and it's time to pick an agent, it's time to pick a financial advisor, you might as well ask the guy that just coached you the guy you see getting multi-millions of dollars.
So during this decision-making process, how aware are you that you may be being manipulated by someone who's financially motivated?
100% aware, because the other thing you always ask is, who else do they have? Mm-hmm. Who else does the agent represent? Who else is signed to the shoe company? Who else is going to sign the letter of intent? Oh, by the way, this is what drives the business. This is how the industry churns over and over again. And so what this sounds like to me, set up. That's truly what it sounds like to me. And we just heard news about Adidas leapfrogging and becoming the number 2 brand.
Yep.
All of a sudden, now we hear this. This, to me, sounds like dirty pool.
Yep. Jalen Rose layering corruption on top of corruption on top of corruption in a very believable manner. Yep. Jalen Rose, yesterday was media day. All of the NBA players dressed up in their uniforms, a lot of new uniforms on older players.
You didn't like the players in their uniforms at the press conference. I saw your tweet.
It just seems silly. It seems silly. Yeah. It's kind of like reminds me of the manager wearing the uniform at the Yankees game. Like, you can wear a team-issued hoodie or whatever. I understand Nike's the new, they get the swoosh out there, and some of them have new patches on there, and I get all that. There'll be plenty of time to take press conferences in your uniforms at other times. I know you're going to say, oh, they took pictures and they did all their media for their video boards and all that other stuff. But before you go to the podium, I'm most comfortable wearing like a hoodie or wearing a long sleeve t-shirt or a t-shirt. I feel silly wearing a tank top that's made for performance athleticism when I'm just answering questions from nerds like myself.
You said a lot of what you like. Let me tell you how it actually works.
No one cares how it actually works. People care. People don't want to hear from the guy who was in the league for 20 years. People don't want to hear from the guy who was in the locker room about how it really works. People want to hear from the guy who's been on his couch talking about the people that have been in the locker room. That's who the people want to hear from. But I suppose I should share the stage a little bit with my co-host, so please cook while I sleep.
It works like this. This is team issue gear, and we need you to wear it.
Okay.
That's the conversation.
Do they dictate what socks you wear? What flair do you get to put on it?
How high or how low?
Okay, what about hoodie mellow? Bello's like, I'm leaning into this hoodie mellow thing. I'm going to wear a hoodie underneath the uniform. Soft move or boss move, wearing the under the uniform?
It's a boss move
Nope.
to own your alter ego.
No. See, I'm going the other way. It doesn't feel organic anymore. It feels like he's forcing it now. That's how I feel. Like I kind of feel like at first it was natural. He actually explained the origin story of Hoodie Mello. He said that he wore a beanie because he was cold one day, didn't have a haircut, and then he liked the way it felt and it was warm, so they started wearing the hoodie. But then people started calling him Hoodie Mello, and now he's wearing a hoodie underneath a uniform. Like that is extremely uncomfortable.
Typical media guy.
What?
I got you right
Intelligent,
now.
observant, understanding, eloquent, articulate. That's what you mean by typical media guy, right?
I'm about to grapple you right here. How about this?
Okay.
So let me get this right. You had a problem with everybody looking the exact same wearing their team issue jersey.
Yes.
But yet you're going to complain about the one guy that did something different.
Jalen, I understand there may be a little bit of hypocrisy there, but I'm also not just a media guy, I'm also an old guy, and the older you get, the more you feel about comfort. I just want clothes that are comfortable on me. My wife has been like, look, you've totally given up. You wear basketball shorts all weekend, sweatpants the second you get home, and I was like, yes, because I feel good in that. One thing that does not feel good, tank top on top of a hoodie. That's never a boss move to me. It's never going to be a boss move to me, no matter what the circumstances are.
Word up.
All right. There has been some resulting sound from Media Day that's been quite interesting in my mind. Reggie has some of that, which he's going to play out if he's ready. Here's Kyrie on the earth being flat and that whole thing.
It was all an exploitation tactic. It proved exactly what I thought it would do in terms of how all this works. And it created a division, or literally like stand up there and let all these people throw tomatoes at me, or to like have somebody think that I'm somehow this different intellectual person because I think that, or because I believe that the world is flat and you think the world is round. They created exactly that.
Oh, so he did it on purpose, huh?
Oh, yeah. So he wasn't just goofing around on a podcast saying something. He was using it as a social experiment to make people think that I have this different level of intellect, and it was all a manipulation tactic that I was pulling on the media. Come on, man. You're just goofing around. You sound stupid now. That's what happened. Like, we all know what happened, Kyrie. You said something stupid. Everyone called you out for saying something stupid instead of saying, you know what? I said something stupid one day. It wasn't a big deal. He's like, I was just doing a social experiment upon which I create this fallacy that I believe the earth is actually flat, and the media members that I've manipulated will think that I believe that, and I will sit back and observe as people react one way or the other. Come on, Kyrie. You're just lying.
Since I did that, I knew it would cause a division amongst those who were covering it and try to put me in a position to where I had to talk about it. It's all good, family.
It's all right, Kyrie. You're just goofing around one day. Whether you think the earth is flat, you don't think the earth is flat, you were just goofing around. You were not trying to create a stir and, using it as a social experiment to learn about sociology. Then you're just lying. Yep. Next, we have a little sound from Earl Smith, also known as J.R. Smith.
What's he been like this summer?
A jerk. Honestly, he's a jerk because he calls me at 6:30 in the morning and asks me what I'm doing. Obviously, I'm asleep. Only you wake up at the crack of dawn and go work out. So he's been a jerk.
LeBron James, is he a jerk for calling JR at 6:30 in the morning and asking what he's doing?
Well, he probably said that after they get off the phone. He's like, Dwayne Wade coming and he's starting at your spot.
Dwayne Wade's going to start your spot, JR. So you should probably wake up at 6 and start working out.
Do you continue to win conference championships?
You should probably get some shots up. You should do that.
I'm going to get you. Coach Lou's going to get you the same amount of looks coming in off the bench. You and D Rose.
Your money's not going to change, JR, but your minutes are. Money's not going to stay the same. Minutes are going to change. Another thing, though, just because, I always look through it through the lens of a parent. He's got a new child at home, Dakota, miracle baby that was in the NICU for a long time. He's got a brand new child at home. Sleep is very important. You know what I mean? You call me at 5 in the morning, but I'm up. I'm an early riser. But when you got a new baby at home, all bets are off. You got to wait until at least 7:30 a.m. before you start calling Bron. Come on, Bron. And JR, Dwayne's definitely going to start over you. Now we have Hoodie Mello about his potential starting position in Oklahoma.
Or even coming off the bench. And the second question is...
Who, me?
Oh. I guess that answers that part.
I don't know where that started, where that came from.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
I love
Who
his
did he call?
response.
Hey, who?
P, I think he was talking to Paul George.
Got it.
Who was adjoining. He's not coming off the bench. He didn't waive a no-trade clause to come off the bench.
So here's something that functions in a team dynamic. And I'm not going to overstate this, but I just want to use this as a team teachable moment.
Yep.
So if you feel like that about coming off the bench, man, the guy that actually comes off the bench, you now have demeaned publicly what that role truly means to a basketball team.
Oh, that's nice. I like that angle.
Because, again, when it's all for one, one for all, we try to show each other that everybody's role is just as important.
Of course.
The guy that gets the headline, the guy that makes the game-winning shot.
The guy that sets the game-winning pick, and the guy who's the game-winning look at practice.
But I understand a guy that's going into the Hall of Fame and will have his number retired by the New York Knickerbockers.
Now you just
feeling
said that.
a certain type of way about that question.
Now, see, the Hall of Fame thing I'll let you get away with, but they are not retiring 7 in Madison Square Garden. I promise you that. Based on what he did while he was there, not gonna be able to do it. Sometimes you just say stuff to see if I'm listening. I understand the Hall of Fame. I'm not even listening then. When you say number retired, it's like, oh, hold up. You just seen if I'm listening, aren't you? Put number 7 in the rafters at Madison Square Garden. Please. I'll put Steve Novak up there before I put Carmelo up there. Please. We're putting David Lee up there. We'll put Jalen Rose up there before Carmelo's up there. Get out of here, man. I'm done with this segment. I'm out of here. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show. Ladies.
Hey, ladies.
It is Tuesday. That means tomorrow is Woman Crush Wednesday. We'll be representing for you, the ladies, tomorrow. So make sure you call in and leave your voicemails. Ladies, call 985-80-JALEN. Leave a voicemail. Tomorrow we will play it on the show just like this.
What up, though? This is Marcus from Alabama, longtime listener of the pod while working. Got a question for you guys. Boss move or soft move? Now that the Cavs have had their media day and Isaiah Thomas is clearly wearing number 3 this season, would it be a boss move or a soft move if Dwayne Wade goes there and Isaiah Thomas denies him to wear the number 3? Keep getting them checks, fellas. Get at me.
Great question. Great
One
question.
of the best questions ever.
It's a great question because here's what it is. Let's imagine that Dwayne Wade didn't want to turn a new leaf and he really wanted to stick with 3 because he's been 6 before. He's moved around a little bit. But if he didn't, it's just the start of a negotiation in which Isaiah Thomas holds most of the leverage.
I've been there, done that.
Explain.
Traded from...
Can't even remember, you got traded so many times.
Correct.
Toronto?
Traded from Chicago to Toronto. Someone already had number 5.
Okay. Whoever it was.
And I'm almost sure it cost me a pretty coin.
So how much are we talking? How's the
done.
negotiation starting? How many back and forths is it? Is it contentious? Is it not contentious? Like, I can see it going. If it was me, I like contentious conversations with my friends and colleagues. So I would let it drag out for a while. I would tell you how important the number 5 is to me and how I've been playing so well with it, and I don't want to mess with a good streak. That just to drive the price up. I would drive the price up.
But also, like, it all depends on who. Excuse me. It all depends on who has the number.
Mm-hmm.
Did Isaiah Thomas wear number 3 in Boston?
No.
So therefore, he's changing his number because of something that he feels is sentimental to him. Yeah. And so now for Wade to get the number, a future Hall of now for a future Hall of Famer to get the number from a current All-Star who just so happens to be injured possibly until All-Star break, the negotiations work both ways.
I like that too. Be like, you're not even going to be on the court for half the season. What you need the number for when you're going to be wearing a suit? You're not signed to this team past next year. No.
So a future Hall of Famer in Dwayne Wade joining forces with LeBron James in Cleveland, the first step of the Banana Boat crew trying to become a super team. And remember, you've heard it here first on this program. I clearly said, Isaiah Thomas may have to end up on his third team in 3 years to get his big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because CP3 has 1 year in Houston. Don't be surprised at the end of this year if he also ends up in Cleveland with Bron and Wade.
And remember where you heard it first, because if you're CP3 and Houston's got this offer, Houston necessarily hasn't made the extension offer yet. They want to see how it all plays out. If it doesn't go great, maybe it's an injury, maybe it's an early exit from the playoffs, and maybe Houston's saying, you know what, maybe James Harden is the point guard. Maybe we don't need this secondary ball handler on the team. And Chris Paul says, you know what, maybe I don't need to be in the Western Conference with the Thunder and with the Warriors and with the Spurs. Maybe I can just go over to the Eastern Conference and make the finals for the first time in my career and play with my brothers Dwayne Wade and LeBron James.
Absolutely. So with that being said, Dwayne Wade does end up with number 3. I think it's going to cost him $25,000.
Oh, I like that you put a number on it. Do you think it was the price that high when back in Toronto, or is it Canadian dollars different?
I think it was $10,000.
Inflation.
Cost me 10.
You write a check for that? You go to the bank, get cash? How's it work?
No, we're not doing cash with those transactions.
Thank you so much for the call, Marcus. Great call. Let's listen to the next voicemail. Don't forget, ladies, call 985-80-JALEN. Leave us voicemails for tomorrow's Woman Crush Wednesday.
What's going on, fellas? This is Evan from Cleveland. I have a question. So when you guys hit it big, like Pardon the Interruption or something like that, I assume when you go on breaks, they'll just bring in guest hosts like they do on PTI all the time. So who would you guys pick to replace yourselves? Jalen, you have to pick a former basketball player. Jacoby, you got to pick, no offense, a non-athlete. I'd be interested to know what you guys think about that. Shout out, Reg. Keep giving the people what they want.
This is easy. Can I go first?
Of course.
If I was going to replace this program, it would be Charles Barkley and Bill Simmons.
Oh, yeah. That's easy. That's easy. Light work. Charles Barkley and Bill Simmons. The salary's got to go up, though. You know what I mean? You know, because some tells me that Charles and Bill are going to demand a little bit more in the marketplace than Jalen and Jacoby. So we might get a call. Be like, I know that we canceled y'all last week, but we decided that maybe we want to reignite this reunion and see what happens. No replacing Jalen and Jacoby here on ESPN Radio. Thank you so much for the call.
Nobody.
Evan in Cleveland. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Hello, Jalen and Jacoby. Big fan. Listen to the podcast every day. So I just saw on the news that BOB is starting a fundraising to see if the earth is flat. And I just want to ask, why do we care? How does this affect us? What if we find out that the earth is the shape of a pizza? What difference is it going to make in our lives? I guess it's going to be like, oh, cool, our earth is the shape of a pizza. But what is this really going to do? What's going to change? Just answering, just here asking a question, wondering why people are so interested. Keep up the great work.
So this dude just kind of blew my mind. I love this. We have great calls today. I love this call, too, because this dude just blew my mind. I do not think that the earth is flat, right? I do not believe that. But when he brought up the pizza thing, I was like, ooh, maybe the earth isn't exactly perfectly spherical, as we all believe, but it is continuous if you were to travel around it the way a pizza is. Sometimes you're on the cheese side, flip over to the crust size. I think that we just broke scientific ground here. The earth is not flat. It is not a sphere. It's actually the shape of a pizza.
And if so, it must be deep dish.
Is that a failed test from this caller?
Pretty much, because I got to say this as well. The reason why we care, because there are really intelligent people who work in science. That it's important for them to know the information so that we can progress as a society. I will point that out.
Okay. I also want to point something out. When B.O.B., I saw this news story, too, because, I read the entire internet every single day. And I saw this news story as well, and I was like, you know what? I'm really glad that B.O.B. is fundraising to help these people that were hurt by natural disasters. I was like, oh, he's fundraising for Puerto Rico, or he's fundraising for Florida, or he's fundraising for Texas. in the Gulf. And then I was like, oh, wait, he's fundraising to see if the earth is flat. B.O.B., while I like some of your songs, you're not exactly Jay-Z, you're not exactly Kanye, you're not exactly Dr. Dre. You're not going to get the same pull in the fundraising world as these luminaries would. And when your cause is, so you're already not going to raise that much just based on your stature, B.O.B., no shots. Secondly, when your cause is to find out if the earth is flat, now you're losing even a bigger percentage of the people that would have given. Let's say you got 100% of the people that would have given to a cause, and then you got B.O.B., that cuts it down to like 30%. And then the cause is finding out if the earth is flat. You're down to like 0.5% of the people that originally would have given to your cause. No shots at B.O.B. No shots to people who think the earth is flat. Oh, wait, tons of shots to people who think the earth is flat. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Hi, Jalen and Jacoby. Shout out, Reggie. This is Eric from Peoria, Arizona. Just wanted to give a shout out to lizards out there. Me and my wife had a bearded dragon named Draco. He would greet us when we got home. He would turn his beard black when we didn't turn the lights off at night. So lizards can and are great pets. Thanks. Bye.
This Tears of Pet thing has really captured the audience's imagination and passion.
We need pictures.
One of our producer who doesn't like it when we say his name, but he exists.
Curtis?
Nope, not saying it. He does not like us to say his name. He just brought up this thing about different tiers of pets. And he established the first tier and the second tier from pets that would respond to you, pets that would interact with you. And it really touched a nerve with those of amongst our listeners that do happen to have tier 2 pets. A bearded dragon I would consider to be a tier 2 pet. However, this gentleman in Peoria, Arizona, thinks that his bearded dragon is actually a tier 1 pet because it does interact with him. And when you say you need pictures, I do believe he sent us a tweet about 2 days ago with a picture of his bearded dragon. And his fiance, you know?
Beautiful family.
Beautiful family, tier 2 pet.
Like, I'm rolling with you also on
tier
that
2
one.
pet. Come on, it's a lizard. It's a lizard.
But I guess he gets tier 1 attention.
Yeah, you can give a tier 2 pet tier 1 attention. It's just not giving you tier 1 attention back. Wait till you have a kid. You'll forget that Draco ever existed. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Yo, Jalen and Jacoby, what's up? My name is Shamani from Rockford, Illinois. And Jalen, I had a quick question for you. Now, NBA 2K18 just dropped last Friday. Well, I believe 2 Fridays ago to be exact. Not too sure. I don't fact check. But have you seen the rating on the all-time Indiana Pacers team? You're pretty jacked. They got you at about an 87 with like 25 badges, balling out. And I like you, Jalen Rose, and all. Real talk, I really do. But I don't think they should have rated you that high for somebody who's never been a career All-Star. I don't know. What do you think? Shout out, Reg. Keep giving the people what they want. I love the podcast. I'm planning on trying to make one myself. Peace out.
See, he did a thing that you do. You know what I mean? Where you shower with so many compliments that you try to hedge the insult with it. You know what I mean? It's like, I love the show. Your whole team is jacked. They got you on there. But for real, you should be an 87. It's just like, thank you for the compliments, I guess, Shamani from Rockford, Illinois.
Shout out.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with it. I mean, hey.
It's a nice number, though. 87's a nice number. 87's a nice number,
yeah,
Jay.
I mean, I can understand. Here's the thing. If I was a 97, I could see him complaining.
Exactly. Like, that's not
but
even a B+.
87, that is playing at an all-star level. But more importantly, it's about what's the strength of my game. So I would think the strength of my game ain't to be a lockdown defender.
No.
But if I'm an 87, I should be getting buckets.
You're getting buckets. I think they have you way too high as passing. You know what I mean? I think that's what throws off your number. They have your passing. I saw someone sent me a screenshot. Your passing's pretty high. I've seen a lot of Jalen Rose highlights in my day. Don't remember a lot of dimes.
People underestimate the fact that that was one of my better attributes.
Okay, that's what you think. Okay.
You know what my career high in assists is in a game?
In a game? But here's the thing is I know you probably woke up one day and decided to get your career high in assists.
What do you think my career high of assists in a game is?
You played a lot of games. I'm going to say 16.
20.
Really?
And I also had about 20 points in that game, too.
Good for you, Jalen Rose. One more voicemail. Don't forget, ladies, call 985-80-JALEN. Leave us a voicemail message. We will play it tomorrow in the show.
Hey, guys. Nate from St. Louis here. Love the podcast. I listen every day at work, and I'm actually calling you from work. So I recently got a promotion to an executive level position, and so I've started dressing nicer. I'm trying to keep my look real fresh. Took your advice on the undershirt thing and quit wearing undershirts, so it looks much better. Thanks for that. But with that, man, I'm trying to keep, like my look fresh and look good. And so soft move or boss move, taking my shirt off and hanging it up in the stall when I have to go number 2. Also, soft move or boss move, using poopery at work so that I don't offend anybody now that I have a more executive level position. By the way, it gets really cold with no shirt on when you're in the bathroom going number 2. So could you send me a Jalen and Jacoby t-shirt to keep me warm? Hey guys, again, love the podcast. Keep giving the people what they want. Keep getting them checks. God bless.
Wait a second. Nate wants us to send him a t-shirt so he could just strictly take deuces in it? Like he wants, like the way you sleep in pajamas, he wants a specific Jalen Jacoby deuce shirt?
Well, he got an office now, so he want to keep it in his office, and every time he go to the bathroom, want to take us with him.
And all of his colleagues will be like, oh, there goes Nate walking to the bathroom with his poop shirt. I don't want to be associated with that. Nate, you got to come up with a better reason to get a t-shirt than that.
But we got to give him one regardless. A couple of things. Everything you mentioned, both questions were boss moves. One, the potpourri, absolutely. Just because you go in and handle your business, that don't mean the person that follows you need to smell it.
I worked with an executive who will remain nameless, and he was like, I can't go number 2 at work. He's like, people look at me as a leader. People look at me as someone they look up to in times of crises. He's like, I don't want them to see my shoes underneath the stall. Continue.
That's one. 2, having the new responsibilities and leadership, that's great. I'm glad you're dressing better.
Congratulations to Nate.
Being more disciplined. That's what a leader does. Dots the I's and crosses the T's.
Shout out.
So yes, it is important to stay fly, stay fresh, and keep that potpourri nearby. Make sure this gentleman gets a shirt, please.
I don't know about that, Jay. I don't want to be this. I don't want his uniform of pooping to be the Jalen and Jacoby logo. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want to be associated with that. We'll have an off-ice conversation about this during the break. We have a simple motto on this program. Part of giving the people what they want is opening up our 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed and taking questions from you, our audience. This first question is from Scruggs, and it is brilliant. It is something that we have all overlooked in the NBA. I feel like the Trump tweets and the free agent moves have all distracted us from what's really important, and that is LeBron James's hairline. Scruggs' question is, what happened to bald LeBron? Thought he was embracing it. There was some social media activity of LeBron James, which he said he was bald, but he wasn't really bald. It was like a zero clip. He had that Doc Rivers kind of like putting green hair going on. And I really thought that this offseason was going to be the year in which he went from faking like he still had hair on top of his head that was surgically put there and actually embracing his natural state, which is bald LeBron. Don't think we're going to get bald LeBron this year. What do you think, Jalen?
You're not playing 82 regular season games over a 9-month period, practicing and being in front of the media each day. So during the offseason, you got to have time to get it right.
Yeah, he's not playing 82 games, by the way. He'll play like 76. You know what I mean? He'll play. He's not going to play 82 games. It's LeBron James, please. He's got Jay Crowder there. He's like, that's why he brought in Jay Crowder. Put him in the starting lineup. I'll be in this suit, especially if I'm in Miami. Next question is something I know you love to keep tracks on. This is from Dribble. Dribble Kenshin wants to know, why is Monte Ellis still a free agent?
This is one of those topics that, again, there's a list of individuals, if we were able to acknowledge, like, wow, he's not signed currently. Sometimes it's contractual. At this point, you want to be affiliated with a squad. You want to be at training camp. You want to be at media day. So the longer this prolongs itself, it's not necessarily a great look for, say, a player. And Monte Ellis, he's a guy a couple of years ago was getting buckets in the game. I still think he has that ability, but the game has changed a lot for people who score off the bounce and aren't necessarily three-point shooters. And so it's interesting that he isn't signed, but if he is going to be signed, it's not because he probably is going to be a starter anymore, clearly, which is why he's not on the roster.
It's interesting because you look at someone like Rajon Rondo, who's at the twilight of his career. You know, he's bounced around a lot, but his ability to be a point guard, call the plays, run the team, pass the ball, move the ball, address who's open, and those sort of things you can just do longer than someone like Ellis, who's like, here's the ball, score the ball. You know, and he's not necessarily a three-point shooter. He's not necessarily a great defender. Not necessarily a great passer. He's a great scorer with the basketball in his hands. And as you get older and those skills diminish, it's hard to lean back on other things. So it's hard to have a long career as truly a scorer. But he already has had a long career. Shout out to Monta Ellis. I think he'll end up in a uniform this year. James has a question for me, and I'm only saying that because I want to answer it. Not specifically written to me. What is something popular now that everyone will be embarrassed by in 5 years? I'll tell you right now. The holes in the jeans. You know what I mean? Yep. We got tattered jeans. People got 35 holes on each leg, holes in the back. It was one thing when you just had one hole in each knee. I could rock with that a little bit. I would never wear it, but I understand it. But you got holes up and down your thighs, holes in your shins. You're paying $1,000 for some torn up jeans. It's just like, we're going to look at pictures of these people, and I'm not talking about basketball players. I mean regular civilians. You are going to look at pictures of yourself. Right now, if you were listening to this, and you wear holes in your jeans, I'm not saying you don't look good. I'm not saying you're not fresh. I'm old. It's not my thing. If I was 24, I'd probably have holes in my jeans too. But what I am saying is this is a phase, a silly phase. You will grow out of it, and you'll be like, I cannot believe I used to buy jeans for $300 a piece that already had holes in them back in 2017.
My answer is getting tattoos of individuals that aren't in your family.
It's a great point.
On your body.
Great point. Next, this is from the Ohio U Bobcats.
Shout out.
I'm not sure it's an official account, but I'll take it. Shout to them. Butter, syrup, or both on pancakes. And you know I'm on wax saying I do not respect pancakes as a breakfast option. I do not respect pancakes as a food. I think they are a vehicle for other things, such as butter and syrup. They do not taste good by themselves. A couple bites is nice, but I would never want a full stack of pancakes as my breakfast. That being said, butter or syrup on your pancakes, or both.
Yep. I'm just going to ignore your diatribe about pancakes, because pancakes are great. I think waffles are better.
It was more of a monologue.
Yep. I'll say both.
Both.
Butter and syrup.
I prefer both, but as I've gotten more health conscious, I've had to pick, and I'm going with syrup.
What?
For Jacoby, this is from Chilling the Most. Have you ever been to a job fair? Any advice? I have been to a job fair. I've gotten a job at a job fair before. Shout to Skyride. It's a virtual reality flight simulator housed inside of the Empire State Building. It's still there in some capacity. I worked there for 3 years, hustled a lot of tourists. I had a commission-based system. I was making more money hustling tourists in my sophomore year than I was through most of my career at ESPN. Like, let's be honest, let's be real. So my advice for you going to a job fair is make an impression. A lot of people are going to go up. A lot of people are going to shake hands. Have high energy. Have a cup of coffee. Have a huge smile on your face. And you got to do something to stick out from the crowd. Don't dress crazy. Don't act crazy. Just be enthusiastic. And then these people want to look at you and say, I want that person around me every single day. I want that level of enthusiasm, that happiness, that passion. I want that around me every day. And then once you get the job, you can totally tone it down. Next, this is from our co-producer, the greatest mail carrier in the land, Big Crown. This is for you, Jalen Rose. How does nightlife in OKC compare to NYC?
Oh, it's the difference between night and day. Like,
it's very
totally
different. Literally the difference between night and day. Like, you can still find nightlife during the day in New York City. You will not find it at night in OKC.
Look at it like this. In New York City, you could take a nap, go to dinner at midnight, and then go hit the spot. In OKC, the restaurants closed at 10.
I was in Oklahoma City. It's actually a really fun town to hang out in. They get a bad rap. It's not a huge nightlife, but there's some really nice outdoor bars and smiling people and like that little like Riverwalk area. But I was going to a restaurant there. The sign outside normally says, like, no shoes, no service. You have to wear a shirt or something. This said straight up in huge letters, no firearms. I was like, whoa, the law's different over here. I never know you had to put a sign outside that said no firearms. Like, I didn't know that was something people were checking for. I was like, man, I'm worried about someone having a firearm now. You had to put that sign out there for some reason. Yep. Next. This is from Cameron.
Shout out.
Can Jalen show me some love and provide a sound effect for the Jets avoiding an 0-16 season like some teams have done in the past?
Vroom. I don't know if I can do that again.
I don't think I want you to do that again. Nope. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed listening to Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. Don't forget that you can subscribe to our podcast. You can watch us on ESPN2 and also subscribe to the Nickel Package podcast. It's a football podcast that doesn't involve Jalen Rose, does involve me, so you know it's awesome.